adversity? Bring it. The struggle? We welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
Before we dive into today's episode, we want to simply say thank you for your support. For season 2, we're running a couple giveaways and we'll be selecting a couple of you to win some No Snooze merch, some products over at Organe.com, or a $50 Amazon gift card. If you enjoy the podcast and find value in what we're doing, all you have to do is subscribe to us, leave us a 5-star review on Apple, and DM us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast, letting us know you've entered the giveaway. Thanks to all of you, the No Snooze Podcast is climbing the charts, and we're well on our way to spreading this message to the masses. Enjoy today's episode. Mike, open us up.
We're back here on the No Snooze Podcast. We have a very special guest that our man Dave is going to intro. He just did it very eloquently. This is take 2. We're going to be very, very transparent here.
That's what we're about. Transparency, right, Mike?
Transparency over everything. And let me just make a point. When I die, I want you to read my headstone or whatever it's going to read, because you do a very nice job.
Wow. First of all, I hope that never happens.
Who dies first out of the two of us?
I don't know. We both live pretty fast.
Dying first.
Yeah, I think I am too. Yeah. But so Mark Carter is here with us. He's a very special friend and a special guest here today. So he joins us as a father, businessman, firefighter, and mentor for youth seeking to reach their dreams of becoming high-level collegiate and professional athletes. From a young age, Mark has been able to leverage his passion and talent in the sport of basketball as he joined one of the country's top AAU grassroots programs, PSA Cardinals. As a former teammate to #1 NBA draft pick Elton Brand, Mark is no stranger to winning. He has won New York State championships as both a player and coach, and most recently has defied the odds in becoming Peekskill's second African-American career firefighter in over 200 years of the department's existence. Mark Carter, welcome to the pod, my brother.
Thank you for having me, man. Pleasure, an honor.
Thank you for stopping by. I apologize I was late. I had another Waze incident, so.
Yeah, Mike's directions are not the best, but he showed up with a bacon, egg, and cheese. So in my book, he was secured.
And Mark did not want one. Are we on a diet? Talk to me.
I do not engage in pork.
That's such an absurd way to put it. I do not engage.
That's kind of funny because Mike and I are both hams. Get it?
No. You're engaging, buddy.
So where we usually like to start, the podcast, especially when we have a guest, we're fortunate enough to know most of your story, but there's always good things that come out. It's best for us to start at the beginning. So give us, a background of the early years, how you grew up, and I guess how basketball became such an important part of your life early on.
Sure. Again, thanks for the great intro. I will tell you guys and Mike, I did not write that. That was honestly all Dave, and it's truly not just flattering, but for someone to know your background in such a smooth and easy way, it means a lot. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
When it comes to me, born and raised Peekskill, New York, to me, one of the greatest cities on earth. Like it's they call it a small town, but it's labeled a city, but it's truly a place that's near and dear to my heart. I grew up in public housing with my grandmother, Pearl Woods, who passed some years back. We grew up in 1431 Park Street. And I think that for me, it was always a fight with uptown and downtown, right? It's like the guys that were downtown guys, and like you pride yourself in being from uptown. But I think ultimately, us growing up, it was a house full of girls. It was just myself and my cousin Roger, who was literally, I call him my cousin. I was the best man in his wedding back in March. But for me, that was my big brother. I don't have a big brother. I have a little brother. But for us growing up, I think ultimately he gets the kudos for anything athletically related. Wow. Yes, I have God-given gift of being an athlete. My first love was actually football. I was a quarterback.
Really?
I did quarterback. Time. Yeah, man. Yeah. It was a good time. So up until about 13, 14, I played freshman football. That was it. Actually, I played varsity in Peekskill High School. But the thing about it was my grandmother didn't send us to public school early on. So a lot of what my friends were experiencing, private schools didn't have. Right, so nothing against the archdiocese, but you had to be in the, what do they call it in the archdiocese? When it comes to CYO ball, you had to be a part of the church. And I'm like, well, I'm not a part of the church. And my grandmother didn't let me go down to what is Bowman Towers. I wasn't allowed to go down there. Nothing against it. I had friends that were down there. There was a lot of things that happened in most cities that, the drugs and things like that.
What was Bowman Towers?
I was going to say, would Mike be allowed in Bowman Towers?
I feel like I'm a product. Am I a downtown guy or uptown guy?
Mike, as dapper as he looks today, he would, as you stated before, maybe those the Rock Under Armours would not be allowed in Bowman Towers.
What's like? Talk to me. How would I fit in? What's the look there?
Yeah,
I stand out.
I would definitely say as far as a look, you have to look the part.
Is Bowman housing is that part of the housing authority in Peekskill? Is it
part of public housing? Okay, so yeah, it's five or so units throughout the city. I would say in each sector of the city there is Bowman.
So in very blunt terms, this would be the hood in Peekskill?
That's respectfully the hood in Peekskill.
I mean, Mike is good in the hood.
You earned stripes when you were growing up in Bowman. So if you were accepted, you know what I mean? It was one of those things when we were younger, you had to actually know somebody or have a reason to be walking around.
Got it.
You know what I mean? It wasn't it's not foreign. It's the entrance to the city of Peekskill, if that makes sense. Right? You come off the highway, you're at Bowman Towers within 200 feet. 200 yards. 200 yards. I said feet. Wow. So, but I think that us growing up, back to my cousin Roger, he was, integral in just anything sports related because he did it. Right? He was out there. He was playing sports, and I didn't have a way. You were too young to play with the bigger guys, and I was watching. I was like always wanted to shoot on the side basket. There was the football came natural. My cousin was a little bit older than me. It's damn shame. I don't even know Roger's age. Somebody could say, I'll give you $1 million right now. I don't know his exact age. I swear to you.
I don't know
it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But the dopest thing about it was he never introduced it. It was just not follow my lead, but he doesn't know it. He was my idol growing up because that dude was nice, especially with hoops. And I'm like, this is not my thing, But I used to watch how he shot the ball. He could dribble. Roger's about 5'9", super long dreads, but at the time he had a low fade. And
how much older is he? So we have a ballpark.
I would give Raj.
I know you don't know the age.
I think if it's safe to say, sorry if I'm aging you, Raj, if you ever saw this, I would give Raj. I think, man. Hopefully I'm right. Maybe 46. Yeah, 46.
Okay, so
Raj, I'd be so curious to hear.
I feel bad, but again, I don't even know my sister's age. I swear to you, I just don't. I don't.
But so as a young kid, I mean, being older, whether it's 6 to 8 years older, right? Because it's somewhere in there. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's big.
So it makes sense that he can be obviously an idol, especially when it comes to sport.
Absolutely.
Now, was he like the male figure in your life that guided you at that time because you were with grandma? Was dad around? Mom? What was that dynamic like?
Mom and dad at the time, they were succumbed to some other things at the time. My dad wouldn't care, but my dad was. He still calls himself an addict, which is absurd to me. But my dad, and you've met my dad, and successful business owner now, right?
Yes, and a phenomenal man.
You would never know that was a drug addict at some point in time. But it sucks to say. You ask anybody who grew up in the 80s early, any adults, that's what they did. You know what I mean? If you decided to engage in a recreational drug, that was it. And if it turned into something else, so be it. Yep. You know what I mean? So, yes, Raj gets all the credit for, at that time, of being that role model. My Uncle Pete was amazing my Uncle Edward Peterson. I was actually just at his house yesterday with my aunt, spending some time with her. That's my aunt's husband, but he's always been, he calls me Neff son.
I like that.
But
Mike is like my Neff son.
I was gonna say,
he's he was the guy taking us to everything because my grandmother didn't drive. So the idea, we couldn't take taxis to you know what I mean, to practice. So it was either someone else's parent being involved, and my grandmother was super well respected throughout the city, and people understood she didn't have a license, so it wasn't, she found a way, and it was scary how she found ways to get things done, but she was so dope in making sure things got done without you having to worry. So yes, definitely to answer that question, Raj definitely was that early role model and the person to look up to. But he did it by action. All his movements was just like, I'm not asking you to go do this. This is what I do. If you want to tag along. But then it got to the point where I got that rite of passage. It was like, come on, let's play ball. I was like, what? And he'll tell you now, I got better than him. I grew taller than him.
He would admit that?
Yeah.
You said that with hesitation.
I mean, listen. Early on, there was nothing. He couldn't compete with my size. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it gets to a point
I'm 6'2" and change, so he couldn't compete with my size. Not nothing against it, but I was more Raj. If I had his basketball IQ, who knows where this game would have took me, right? I just played off of passion and love and athletic talents. He saw the game from a level where his passing abilities, his shooting abilities, it was just beyond years of what he reminded me a lot of, and this is not aging myself, but Sam Cassell. He was that guy, right? That mid-range game would hit the three if you talk. It was great, you know what I mean? And Raj wasn't a bully, wasn't a tough guy, but he just had this fierceness when he got on the basketball court. So all my coaches out there, I apologize over the years. I'm going to blame my cousin Roger as to why I was so intense and why I just brought a different level, because I thought that when I was on the court, it was that was my sanctuary, and you can't take this away from me, So
did you have someone that you modeled your game after other than Raj? Like, I'm always curious to hear people's favorite basketball player growing up, because it tells you a lot about them. Like, I was a big Larry Johnson guy.
Okay,
love Larry Johnson.
Did you have the reactions?
Grandmama.
Did you have the Converse?
No.
You can't be a Larry Johnson fan without
I was
reactions.
a fair weather in that.
He's a
sense.
Fugazi fan.
I was never. Frank was the one who bought all the shoes and everything.
Okay.
I occasionally would buy shoes. I still don't buy stuff for myself. It's just not. I was a big fan though. I think more from like the Hornets, Grandmama. I thought it was funny dunking on people.
Got it.
And but curious, who was the?
By far,
I don't know who Dave's is either.
Oh, I don't know either. I think no. Actually, he doesn't know this. I don't think. But actually, we shared this moment because he did the groupiest thing ever when we were on our way back from Miami.
Oh God!
So he knows now with saying that who my favorite player is and who I modeled my game after, because it's not for nothing. All my friends knew.
Well, let him go first.
I loved shooting. I loved scoring. Play defense when I felt like it type of guy.
Sounds like me.
It's just what it is. But so you want the story?
Yeah,
I want to hear your.
So
I'm confused.
That 30 seconds, not even, but
because you didn't say the player yet.
No, I didn't say the player yet.
He's waiting for the punch.
So
He knows how to
so we're coming back, and this you might trigger this. If you can get this, you'll be good. We're coming back from Miami. Had a quick guys trip. It was pretty dope. I'm like, I don't know. Later on, so crazy. I end up fainting on the plane. Won't get into that. Bad time.
Yeah, that was a wild experience.
So we're sitting around. I got a Subway sandwich and I'm drinking a ginger ale. I don't know why. I'm not a big soda drinker, but Dave was like, "Oh, that's Ray Allen."
Oh.
So I'm like, "All right, man. So what?" But he's like, "Hold on." Drops his stuff and like started speed walking towards the man. So I think like Dave was such an awe. He comes back and shares the story. He's like, "Yo, mind you, we don't know this. He has nothing with him at this point.
Not even my shoes.
Dude, Dave,
because we were hanging out at the terminal, so like,
chilling.
yeah, we were just
Relaxing.
hanging out, posting up. I saw Ray Allen. I dropped my phone down, everything. I run so far now that I step over the entrance to come back in.
No ID now.
No ID, no nothing. And I finally catch him. I'm like, Ray. No, I think I called him Jesus. I said, Jesus.
Jesus
He
Shuttlesworth.
stops.
Yeah.
I dap him up. I'm like, man, I just had to run over here and just say thank you. And I love your game. I love everything about you. I'm a huge fan. He goes,
Yeah.
man, that's all love. So I said, you mind? Can I get a photo? I go to reach for my phone. My phone was not there. And I'm like, yo, you mind taking the photo and sending it to my phone?
Yeah,
and
you're going to get his.
And he was like,
me
nah,
up.
man. He was like, listen, thank you for the love. I'll see you. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And then I go back to step inside. And the guy that sits there was like, nope.
What are you doing?
And I'm
And
like,
he
whoa.
probably saw that happen.
Yeah.
He's
And I'm like,
"This guy."
whoa, wait. Now I got to go back through security. So I had to end up going back through security with nothing. And they had to literally
had to
escort me
explain
down
it.
there
Yeah.
to make sure that all my stuff was there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was wild.
So is that your favorite player? Or is it just-
Yes. Ray
That's
Allen.
your favorite player?
Ray Allen. Yeah, I
Wow.
don't talk about it much because
You
again,
didn't
he's
groupie up and go with him?
No, I mean, for me, he's like one of those unheralded guys. But what opened me up to him was when he was Jesus Shuttlesworth. You know, and it was again, like basketball movies. You had White Man Can't Jump,
Great movie.
Hoop Dreams, and all that stuff. But
Another good one.
for
Loving
me,
basketball.
loving basketball,
Yeah, it's a good
right?
one.
It
Keep going.
the game, the game was just for me.
Coach Carter.
Yeah, the game for me just was like capitalized in that moment, watching that movie, and you're seeing an NBA star because you catch early Ray Allen, Milwaukee Bucks days, like
Savage.
he's dunking on you,
Yep.
mid-range crossovers, and he was so ill in his UConn days.
Yeah.
But it was just like I became to have a love for him because his jumper was so pure. It's
a
and
beautiful
that's what I
thing to
think
watch,
brought him to
robotic.
next levels, right? And he was always in such amazing shape.
Even still, he's out there
Still,
running
man.
like 6 miles a
Yeah,
day.
he's
retired.
phenomenal. So I will say that I'm not a fan of him. That whole idea during COVID, growing his
Oh,
hair
with
out.
the hair, yeah. So
I didn't even see it.
he's bald,
Yeah.
right? He's bald, especially in the middle of his head, but then he started growing like the old man
Really?
look,
Yeah.
where he has the side.
I didn't see it.
Dude.
Side hair. Oh, yeah.
He tried to challenge a couple
yeah,
players.
it's a funky look.
Bad challenge.
Yeah, very funky.
Bad
look.
move.
To do it?
Yes.
Mr. Shuttlesworth, you're by yourself. We're not joining you.
Makes everyone a little.
Yeah, because I'm a hostage of hair as well. Like it's got to. it wins. Yes, I'm a
I've
hostage.
never heard that.
Hostage of
Yeah,
hair. I like
it's done. It's done.
So speaking of obviously high level athletes,
I'll talk about my background.
we heard before.
Yep.
Obviously, you were a teammate to #1 NBA draft pick Elton Brand.
Sure.
What was it that was the separator? Because you spoke a lot about the mindset of cousin Raj and how you grew up. Now, was there something that Elton, I guess, possessed besides the natural ability that was like, okay, this is what high level athletics look like?
For sure. I think El's work ethic was just above and beyond anything I've ever seen before.
Was that his nickname? If I see him in
El.
public, I'll be like, "Hey, El."
He'll respond.
Okay.
He'll respond. His work ethic was just phenomenal. And, you know, my Uncle Pete would take El to wherever, you know, and it was just love. Like, that's who Uncle Pete is. Still to this day, if you needed anything, he's just that guy, right? So seeing El work out behind the scenes, we would be in practice, which is one thing. But this is a guy who you just thought had natural abilities. 6'9", big dude, wasn't really 6'9". You didn't see 6'9s coming through Peekskill, right? So when he began to separate himself, you didn't understand, well, damn, he's getting good. And rankings weren't what they were. Yes, he was a #1 overall player in high school, but you had to wait till Parade magazine came out. You know what I mean? Like
there wasn't as much.
It wasn't.
exposure.
Yeah, you had
This
to literally.
before Max Preps?
This is
Yeah.
the Max
Before-
Prep.
yeah.
Think about how
No.
good you had to be like known nationwide.
Legit.
Because it's just.
And that's what I'm
Legit.
saying.
I mean,
you're
AAU.
talking #1
one.
NBA draft. Like,
It's wild.
that is unbelievable. And they were like, they were family friends and brothers growing up. Like, not only teammates, like they did things together. So that's why I'm so curious. Like, all right, the work ethic,
Sure.
it obviously is a standout. Now, when did you realize that, okay, that work ethic now applies to everything in my life.
Yeah.
Versus just using it in basketball. Because a lot of people, like even young athletes that I deal with today, they're so focused on the work ethic in basketball, and they lack the same work ethic, the same exact thing, applying it to their education, just so they can now be a standout on not only the court, but in the classroom, and be able to talk to people. You know what I mean?
Hands down, I think just work ethic wise, that's a testament to my grandmother. You know, a mother of 6, figure it out, right? And you know, she's one of the founding mothers of the I don't know what they call it now, Hudson River Healthcare. What was the Peekskill Health Center back in the day when I was a kid? You know, what she's done in that community for people. There were people who just like random people, which sometimes you wake up and so-and-so was on the couch and you're like, what are you doing? But again, like, you know what I mean? Like, but again, what she did for people and their kids in the community, she was always involved in stuff. Never complained about she's tired. Never complained about she's got to go do this. And mind you, I told you guys before, she got this done without owning a vehicle.
Yep.
That woman would go everywhere, train. We never got on the plane. Train, taxi, friend ride, but her work ethic and her drive, which you didn't understand at that age, that's what it was. So that's something that was embedded in me super early as a kid, where it was just like, you're going to do this because you need to do this.
Yep.
And I'll show you, right? But you're going to learn throughout that the lumps that may come along the way, but I'm never going to let you fail. But it was like never said to me, but those were the actions. I didn't understand why I couldn't go to public school. There was nothing wrong with public school, but you're going to have this opportunity because it's going to pay off later on in life, which it did 1,010%, because those relationships, some of those people that I went to St. Columbanus with, those relationships are still around. I know certain people that even after that, Franciscan, which is down the street from your house, which is now a mosque, I think the Muslims over bought it on Lexington. That's still Lexington over there. I was on my way to Franciscan. Franciscan closed. Like it was literally going to be a private school journey, right? And cousin Raj, the opportunities he was given, he went to Harvey, which again, you know, boarding schools now play such a big role in a lot of the kids that I mentor's lives. That's what I knew. I'm like, you're going to spend the night at school? You know what I mean? But grandma paved that road, and she was just like, you guys are going to go on this path. And I don't know how she did it. We grew up in public housing. Like legit grew up in public housing, and we went to private school. Don't ask me how the hell she paid the bill. Don't ask me how going to Harvey, which boarding schools cost X dollar, we're talking about $40,000 to $50,000 a year. You're going on free scholarships. I didn't provide anything. I wasn't an honor roll student. I was a knucklehead. I loved the attention from girls, and that was the person I was. But I did enough to get by, if that makes sense, right? So as far as work ethic, is a testament to Elaine Pearl Woods, without a doubt.
I wonder if early on someone makes the link with kids about schoolwork or whatever it is outside of the basketball court. If you do this, it's going to help your basketball game because you have more exposure to bigger schools. And then eventually, if you're at a better school, more likely to go to the NBA. Someone that actually links it, like if you put work in here, it's going to help basketball. I feel like a lot of people don't do that, but that would be, because for me, like if I know that something's going to contribute to my main goal, I take it way more serious, even if it's like a dumb task. If but you think of it the right way. But it's hard when you're young.
Is that the adult mic, or is that was that something that you always prided yourself on?
It's a good question. The adult mic is much better at linking everything.
Sure.
Like school, I always did well, but I was bored. I was like, this makes no. Why am I learning about this? I'm never going to use this. Like, I don't know. I don't want to use a bad example, but like algebra, I'm like, we have calculators. Which is terrible.
Why are we wasting our time with this?
But we have calculators, so I'm like, what are we doing? And then it's like, oh, we're doing this. I'm like, I have Excel. So I was always kind of a smart, I don't want to say smart ass, but I was a smart ass in a sense where I'm like, this makes no sense, which then translate to me like not paying attention. I still did well, but I think back and I'm like, maybe if I thought of it as, well, if you know how to do this stuff, then your mind's just going to be sharper for X, Y, Z.
Yep.
But I just never linked like school to being good at business, if that makes sense.
That's a good point. And now to bring it back to Mark.
Forget about Mark.
No. But it ties right into what you were saying, Mike.
Yeah.
The leadership piece and not, I guess, knowing both,
Yeah.
that's what he has the opportunity to do.
Yes.
Right? And he doesn't speak on this stuff because it's strange to talk about yourself. Very few people like to do that. I'm just one of them.
I got no problem.
Yeah, me neither. But, PSA Cardinals, him.
What does that stand for? I don't mean
the
to
other-
be...
Pro Scholar Athletics.
Okay. Nice.
The other
Just
coaches
curious.
that are involved in that, specifically Munch, shout out to Munch.
my
These
guy.
guys, they bring that leadership development piece
Yeah.
to the organization, right? So that they take kids who are very high, have potential to be high level athletes. And it's a weird conversation because when you're talking NBA, you're talking top Division I athletes, you're talking 1% of like that 1%.
Yeah.
Right. So it's their niche is very specific because you have to be good to play in that organization.
Yeah.
From there, and how early do you guys start with the kids in the program? Middle
Seventh
school,
grade,
right?
seventh, eighth grade,
Yeah,
middle
like,
school.
so middle school. So they're now teaching these skills
Yeah.
paired with, okay, on the court work ethic. But if you can't connect the two dots, you're not even going to be part of that organization. So that's where the difference is. And you're able to sit here and have a conversation about, talking about the NBA. Because usually there's no opportunity like it is here. But if you step foot into that program and you follow those steps, I'll tell you this, they will at least expose you to the highest level of basketball and the coaching system and all those relationships. You will get that, but you have to buy into the system.
1,000%.
Right?
I get a quick question for you too. So I know for me, like I said, not a great basketball player, not a great athlete. I was okay. But I remembered realizing, like when I started to play AAU just because my brother did, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'll do it too. I wasn't that into it.
Yep.
Like I'm never going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I was quick to realize that, and it was like not being too smart for my own good, but I was realistic. So I was like, you know what, I can't get to the highest level. So I think my work ethic just fell off a cliff. Like once I started playing AAU,
Right.
I would just try to get my points in,
Right.
take some jumpers,
Right.
like just so I could talk about it. Then when I started a new profession, and there's no cap on what I can get to, and my skill set and physical ability doesn't limit me, I was much more motivated for some reason. I don't
makes
know
sense.
why, but it's like, and my question for you is, when you get these kids in 7th grade, do they have awareness, and can you be like, this kid has limited ability? Do you see the kids that you're like, listen, you're promising now, but I just don't see it. You know what I mean? And I know you try to develop everyone because you never know, but like,
Right.
do you have an instinct when you start working with people?
You think you do. You think you do. And we're no different than any human who is a scout is some level of, I would say, upper management within professional organizations, even colleges and universities. You cannot predict the future, but you get to see, you try to gauge as best you can what level it may be. And because we're at such a high level at PSA, you have to be super particular with someone's skill. And it's so hard because you also could take something. It's always easiest to take a big guy and say, you know what, I got time with him. But you're amongst a bunch of guards and you're trying to find that special part that can say he's separated from the rest of them. Most importantly, first and foremost, is the mental aspect of the game. We try to bring in seasoned leaders and we try to wrap them around or surround them necessarily with a bunch of guys who have done this before. You're not going to be on an island by yourself. This is not a quarterback position, right? This is something where necessarily, for instance, the point guard is the leader. So we tailor ourselves on playing with 2 point guards. Why? Because we don't want that pressure to be on someone. Let's combine these two, right? It's like Pinky and the Brain.
It's interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to put them in a sense where somebody may be good at this, but he's great at that. But if we put them together, now we got Steve Nash, right? We don't just got the Jason Kidd who may be working on his jump shot as he goes along, but has this super great IQ.
Then you create somebody like a Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome, my guy,
Right?
man. Ty Jerome, Bryce Aiken,
Yes.
Quincy McKnight.
Just to perspective this, right, for people who don't know PSA, how many current NBA athletes
Yep.
are a product of PSA, and then also, I guess, the elite Division I
Sure.
collegiate athletes?
I'll just maybe a couple. The first was if I'm not mistaken, Chris McCullough. He was first. Syracuse, stayed 1 year at Syracuse. Sheck Diallo went with the program. Been with the program his entire time since he came over from Mali. He is now with the Phoenix Suns. Ty Jerome also with the Phoenix Suns. Omari Spellman with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Mohamed Bamba with the Orlando Magic. We said Ty Jerome with the Phoenix Suns as well. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Sorry, guys.
That's the NBA level.
That's the NBA level. Terry Larrier is in the G League with the Clippers. I don't know exactly what team he is now. Great product. Went to UConn. And the thing about it is these guys are all super high level players, top ranked players when they were coming through the high school ranks. We've been blessed because it's, even when you speak about the high school level, some guys may just have success on that level, and that's perfectly fine.
Yep.
The goal is to get these kids to college for free, and that's the goal. And then, of course, Division I's the highest level, so everybody's not a blue blood, but it's good to have those types of players and those coaches come into your program. So, most recently, Cole Anthony, who we all know will be a lottery pick in this year's coming draft whenever they have it. We've had point guard wise again Bryce Aiken, who's going to be leading Seton Hall this year.
He left Harvard, right?
Harvard's graduate.
Gotcha.
So they have the great rule of having a fifth year. So
Yep.
he completed his requirements and finished up at Harvard. We have another kid that's at Penn, Max Lorca. So we have guys in the Ivy League. We had Quade Green, who went to Kentucky, who transferred to Washington. Omari Spellman, who was great at Villanova, a national champion. Ty Jerome, we got 2 national champions.
Yeah, it really is unbelievable.
Omari has 2 himself, right? So when you're able to see these kids actually go through those experiences, it's like you're there.
Yep.
What
about and just to
sure.
Obviously the names go on and on, but RJ Davis is a
great kid,
recent Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yep.
Did you guys work with RJ too?
RJ actually played with me his freshman year. We lost in the Final Four of the national championship.
Wow.
Yep.
So just quick, and I'm sure this will make you proud, but obviously doing the community work that I do, just to let you know, you're talking about the passion that you have for the community and how much the community means to you. RJ was a Gatorade Player of the Year, decided to donate that $1,000 right back to the community center in Greenburgh that he obviously came up in. So
big RJ Davis fan from now on. Davis, what was the last name?
RJ Davis going to
Gotta get a jersey.
UNC, North Carolina.
Yep.
I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
Yep, and it comes from a great family too.
Amazing.
Yep.
Do you find it difficult? And I'm sorry for asking all these questions, but a little interview.
Let's go.
Do you find it difficult when they come in, the kids, and they're just so head and shoulders better than people? And do they have like not an arrogance, but do they have a confidence that you have to be like, listen, you're the best now, but the next level is so competitive. You got to bring down, be a little more humble. What's the attitude when the kids come in? Or are they mostly grounded?
Sure, I would honestly think that kids are humbled. Kids are humbled by the program prestige and the success. So just off of that, they're more nervous
really
than anything, right? You would think because a kid is, I don't want to say they do so much work, but we do a fantastic job of marketing these kids. Munch is so great with what he does with the marketing side of the kids and making them regional, to local, to regional, to national. It's amazing. The platform, playing in Nike EYBL, which hands down anybody can say it's not about the sneaker company, but Nike's an amazing brand, but the platform that these kids are able to perform on is far and beyond anything they'll ever experience.
I never thought of that. I guess there's a lot of exposure now, but if you think about it too, our favorite players were all people that were branded really
1,000%.
well, right?
Yes, sir.
So, there could be player A, player B, but player B has a better platform.
Yes.
Player A can still be a little better, but player B has more exposure and has more of an opportunity. So
exactly.
It's interesting. I never thought
Mike
about
is
that.
a big fan of sponsorships. PSA is fully sponsored by Nike as well, right?
I love that.
They do a good job, man. They do a good job.
No, and I think it's we'd be remiss not to mention. Is this paid work for you, Mark?
No. This is
right. He spends so much time.
This is volunteer
and years and years and years doing this type of stuff with no monetary value to it. But obviously, it's pretty cool when you can walk into Coach Krzyzewski's office and he knows you by name.
That was pretty cool. That Coach K was dope.
When the kids come through the system and then they're at the next level, like what event is the most rewarding? Is it when they get drafted? Is it when you see them like score their first point? Do you have like a time where you're like, you know, the kid not made it, but wow. Like, or is it different?
It's not a tough one. I think it's different, right? For each kid. You always want to see them achieve that lambskin, as my Uncle Pete always says.
That lambskin.
That lambskin is super important. That like college degree. You know, he would always say, "You're going to get that lambskin." Yeah, and I'm like, "What the hell is lambskin?"
Yeah.
Right. So, which when you know, when I finished undergrad, I'm like, high school, I don't know what the hell that was. Maybe it's lambskin. I don't know. But when you finish undergrad and you look at it, I'm like, this is lambskin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's pretty dope. Where he was always encompassing that in my brain. It was like, you're going to get
gotta get that.
It's funny, the sayings that stick with you.
Yeah, but that for me would be the biggest achievement, right? Seeing those kids actually now, your future's solidified. Yeah. That's something no one can take away from you. We were talking before this about injuries in our older age, but you know what I mean? Like the idea of basketball and an injury potentially being what can derail your athletic career. There's nothing that can derail the lambskin.
Yeah.
You know, so the achievement of being able to say you have a lifetime scholarship, whether you decide to go to the league, the NBA, early, which some of these kids are talented enough to do, or you're going to stick it through. A lot of these coaches, a lot of these schools, I would say majority, are giving lifetime scholarships for guys to be able to come back. As we saw Vince Carter, Shaq, those guys came back.
It's unbelievable.
And pursued their degrees once their playing days were over, actually during their playing days. So that's something that we pride ourselves on, is getting them to something, financial freedom in that sense, right?
Yeah.
You're setting these kids up where you don't got to worry about anything as far as tuition. You don't have to worry about a loan, so you're basically getting millions and millions of dollars each year for these kids to be able to pursue these schools. And we've been lucky enough, every one of our kids outside of the 2014 class, which had a couple sprinkles, which they're great. They're all now graduated college. Every kid since 2015 on has received a Division I scholarship, and we carry no more than 11, but no less than 10 guys. So
I wonder if maybe the pitch too is like, listen, you guys love basketball, right? And they're like, yeah, like you all want to go to the league, yeah. The reality is this percentage is not, right? Are you going to outwork the other person? Are you going to go get a scholarship and a degree and do your best there because you love basketball and you can work within basketball for the rest of your life? But if you don't get a degree, you're never having a shot.
Absolutely.
Because the only way to get to the league and be involved in it is to go through a degree if you're not in the league and then come backwards.
Right.
You know?
We try
that would be...
Yeah, we push our guys to, in our brains, like the guys that the trajectory isn't, all right, man, you got 1 year and your ticket's gone. Like Muhammad, right? Mo Bamba. We all knew. Like he was on NBA draft boards cold. We knew going in, like Omari had some time. He sat his first year. That first year he played, he's gone now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chris, gone now. So there are a couple of guys who, through scouts and whatever they do in the NBA, as far as projecting what's next, who's turning down millions of dollars in a dream, right? An opportunity.
Yep.
So again, these guys, they come from great families. They've been great support. Some of them don't have families, which is fine too.
You become their family.
We become their family. So that's the biggest achievement by hands down. And just like you said, Mike, the idea of not understanding getting your degree and then being able to use that in an area where you love is just major. Like it's great.
Because I never thought about that. Like growing up, I wouldn't say I loved basketball, but anything. I never thought like, well, if you're not the guy playing, you could be the guy repping the person or the what's that documentary you watched?
Which
about basketball and the young kid?
Oh, I asked you about it too.
Man,
I forget the name, but it was the scheme. The scheme.
Oh, the scheme.
Yes. Yes.
But that equity in relationships, knowledge, seeing behind the door, like you can translate that to so much now.
That
even
kid,
if you're a rep for Nike.
He was beyond his years. If you watch,
watch
it?
Oh yeah.
Great.
He was
awesome.
he was beyond his years, which unfortunately got caught up. It is what it is.
But a genius, huh?
A genius, because you see, you know, the young man goes and does time and still comes out and is an executive on a record label.
But why though?
It's all here.
Well, it's there,
right?
and then
But
all the
he also-
relationships.
the relationships
It's all
through and through.
relationships.
Yep.
So he could have definitely put himself in a position where, you know, things could have turned bad, you know, but he stayed true to his heart where I'm not going to hurt people that I have personal relationships for my personal gain. Yes, I did something wrong.
Yeah.
And
I
there's
got to take this on the
consequences to
chin,
it.
and there's
Yep.
consequences. It wasn't like he was selling drugs.
Right.
We can talk. No,
I got
yeah,
you.
you don't wanna go too far into
So
that.
now to transition, and I love the lambskin. We're going to transition to the lambskin, right? Because you're a businessman yourself, and you graduated with a business degree as well, right?
Correct.
Now, I think this is me personally. One of the most interesting things about Mark Carter is he had a very successful career within New York State, right? You were with the state for how long?
2006. Before I left, 14 years.
Right. So there was only a handful of years before you can retire, you get your pension, and you're now doing things that you love. But Mark always had a dream, and I don't know when it happened because you can speak on that, but of becoming a fireman. So as some would say, late in the game, at the age of, how old were you when you became a firefighter?
I was 37.
Right. So like, he said, you know what? Yeah, I have this successful career, but it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. How was it? Because I think it's amazing, right? You end up pulling that plug, making a transition. I'm sure there was a significant pay cut that came along with that decision, right? Going from a 12 to 14-year career now to step one as a fireman, going back to the city that you grew up in, taking all the core values that grandma and the family instilled in you early. What was that like, and how hard of a decision was that to make?
Yeah, what made you make that decision?
Damn. I actually almost
A lot of
forgot we were
questions
going to
there.
talk about this, right? But it's just
That, to
I
me,
can
that's
forget.
that's the most incredible part about you, because
Yeah,
a lot of people
it's
aren't
big.
willing to take the risk. He's now got 3 kids,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that easy.
yeah.
And he's aging in reverse. Look at him.
Yes, he is.
Benjamin Button.
Yes,
over
he
here.
is. Benjamin
I
Button.
wish it was that way, but damn. When I think about it, it's crazy because you're the only person that actually talks about this shit in this way, and it doesn't get me like emotional. I'm not a big emotional guy, but when it comes to actually my children, that's what kind of like, it was probably hands down the toughest decision I ever made in my life. And I remember the day, and I asked for prayer. I prayed. I kept it a secret from a lot of people, and it wasn't the intention. I just didn't want the opinions that I wasn't asking for. I didn't want to answer questions that I already knew the answers to. I didn't know what came with this. But again, like you said, like the biggest part was, so you have to, it was a storm, 2015, it was a storm. We had a big storm come through, and a guy comes in, we were playing cards. I was at a friend's house, playing cards, enjoying some cocktails, laughing, we're playing spades. And this guy comes in like dressed up. What the hell is this dude? God, why is he looking like
there.
this? No, it wasn't dressed up though. He was like, which now is a Class A uniform in regards
gotcha.
The fire service and also police, but and anything military based, you're Class A. That means fully decked out in that sense. He comes in and I'm like looking at the dude. I'm like, all right, but I'm paying attention to my cards and my drink. I ain't, I'm good already. So he's like, this girl says to him, why are you so dressed up? I can't remember that. I wish I had seen this guy to this day. Maybe if he sees this interview, he could reach out to me, man. But I owe him. He said, oh no, I just graduated. I'm like, what? You graduated? I'm ear hustling. This ain't my business, but it's my business now. I'm ear hustling.
I like that.
So he's like, yo, I don't know this dude. Yo, you should take the test. I'm like, this test for what? Like test for what? He's like, the fire department. I said, just like this. I don't know you, but there ain't no such thing as a black fireman. Just like I don't. What are you talking about, firefighter? I'm like, but damn. He's like, nah, man, I'm telling you, you'll love it. I'm like, so what? Like, what makes you think that I would love being a firefighter? He's like, yo, you play ball, like you play sports and all that. I'm like, but that has nothing to do with being a fireman. Nah, I'm telling you, man, it's all about, like, you get to still experience and exercise strength and agility and you use your brain. I'm like, it's a lot. He was encompassing with basketball. I'm like, what are you talking, brother? You're supposed to go into a burning building and
everyone's running out of the building and you gotta run into the building.
I have a visual him backing down doors this way.
But the crazy part about it is I'm not, all of this is going through my head and it's like, you're thinking about cleaning off, I'm thinking about cleaning off my car in the morning. I'm not thinking about like legit, like I'm not thinking about anything else other than, man, I've been at my job at that point in time for 11 years. Like, pick up and go. Like, no, hell no. But I didn't think about a lot of stuff that comes with it. So he said, look, just do me a favor. Fill out the application. I said, all right, man, no doubt. He said, no, come on, man, do it right now. And I'm like, well, what do I got to do?
Wow.
Like, what is, you know, like,
and you didn't know this guy.
Didn't know this guy from
I kind of
Adam.
like this guy.
This
Just
is
comes in and
crazy.
starts calling shots.
He's a firefighter in Mount Vernon. I swear I wouldn't be able to point him out in the lineup, but I swear I owe this dude what now I know, not my life, but I owe him like a hug, a dinner, whatever it is. And
We're sending this to the Mount Vernon Fire.
I bet you see someone in the future.
Yes.
And you're like, and
fill
it
this
just
out
clicks,
right
you're
now.
like, that's the guy.
I live in Mount Vernon, and I don't venture through the city, but I swear I wish he knew me, like by face, just to be able to say I want to say thank you, but to get back to it, I literally fill out the application, and kudos to my good friend Jenna Ferris. I said, Jenna, can you do this for me? Can you help me do this really quick? You know, because I'm like, I'm not interested, but like whatever. And she's like, all right. And then there's $100. It costs $100. I'm like, my man, you didn't tell me it costs $100. You know what I mean? So
He probably got a referral fee.
so it was through the county. There was like so much more to go with it. Dude, it was the last day. That was it. Like that was the last day to do it. And civil service exams don't come out very often.
Yes.
Come to find out now that I'm seasoned a little bit, it's every 3 years. So that opportunity, that window would have closed for me as an older male trying to be a firefighter. I still didn't believe, but it's crazy because he says that was in that moment when I went, that then became my dream because I looked at it and I said, I got to go do this now. Because he saw something in me. I'm one of those people like, you meet people say, oh, we met by fate. Nah, I was there at that moment for a reason. Mm-hmm. Now I know what it is. That's why this part of it, and again, people know this story a little bit because they'll ask me how and why. And I have no experience in that field, which I didn't know you had to have. He didn't tell me that. That's why we got to have a conversation because he didn't tell me that this was like butt naked, raw, rookie. You know what I mean? Like I don't like we talked about before. I don't like doing things I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and this was, I didn't know a lot of this stuff that comes with it. You got to be. I got to go back to school. I had to literally like. So I don't want to jump too far. That happens. That first year, after the results come back, I get the results. I don't know where I rank, right? Like I don't. Okay, I did well. I got like I don't know. I think a 90 or 95, something like that. But again, don't be confused. This is legit.
That's my guy.
Nah. This is legit. No disrespect to the fire service. It has nothing to do with fire. The test itself had zero to do with fire. I took the exam. I said, I'm person, my retention with certain things, if I don't have repetition with it, like it's not going to stick that much. So it was like, what do I do with this exam? Do I need books? Do I got to study? And I'm like, Mark, don't drive yourself crazy. Like you're going to go in and take this exam and whatever. It's snowing again the day of the exam. I'm like, this is some bull. Like this is.
What do you hate snow?
It's funny that snowing on the day of the exam,
again.
but it was a beautiful day, but it started to snow.
Oh.
White Plains High School, the line And I'm discouraged now a little bit because people are showing up in their firefighter garb, right? Everybody
they were probably volunteers before.
I didn't know. Again, I'm not thinking about this. Right? I'm not thinking about volunteer departments, career departments, combo department. None of this now. All this lingo that I learned later on, I didn't know anything about it. I'm like, I got no chance. These dudes been doing this like for a long. There's no chance, but I'm gonna go do this. I sat at my current job at the time 2 days before, and I took practice exams. I'm like, no disrespect, this isn't that bad. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. This isn't that bad, but I'm like, this is a trick. I'm gonna go in here. They're gonna start asking me questions about fire stuff, and I'm gonna lose. That's what I practiced the wrong way, but again, it was legit like common knowledge stuff. Right, it was like if you ever, I never took one, but
I've taken a bunch of
like IQ tests, like one of those
civil service exams. Yeah.
In one of the episodes, he asked a question that was on one of them.
Yes.
Do you remember any questions? They're very fun to do.
It was the funniest part was, and I tell everybody just to give them a basis of what it is. It's like two cogs in a machine. One's going clockwise, one's going counterclockwise. Okay, if this is going this way, which way would it be turning this one if it was incorporated? I'm like,
the opposite way.
What? Yes. So I'm like, duh. You know what I mean?
Dave was
but
like,
again,
what's a cog?
I didn't even get the question, and Mike already had the answer.
But again, it was like, I don't know if there was a time limit on it, but you were allowed to calculate. It was like taking the SAT again, and I'm like,
what? Did you just have to pass? Like, was it just a pass
no, you get a grade. I don't know what the
and then
failing
you get
is.
ranked.
No idea.
Though,
You get ranked.
thousands of people take this exam.
Gotcha.
You get ranked. So you're in a classroom, and it's
So you
like,
had a score. Oh, got it.
And so there's that one guy. Hopefully he don't got the job. I don't know who he is. Hopefully he doesn't got the job because he went in there and like legit like, you're looking at the clock. It's always when you're taking an exam and it's like, all right, it's a proctor. You got 20 minutes. And you're like, oh shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? And this dude is done in 5 and you're like, man, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
There was no like
yeah.
time
So
bonus.
I'm one of those guys. I go back. I'm checking to make sure my check is right. I'm making sure everything is circle is closed in so dark. I don't want to give the Scantron any reason to misgrade it. You know what I mean? So, I graded well when it was all said and done. I was so nervous and anxious because I kept this a secret. So I'm like, if I do great, do I tell anybody? If I do bad, what's next? I was so embarrassed because I didn't want people not knowing that I wasn't educated in this area. And 2 guys that I leaned on throughout the process was Jenna's brother, Dan Ferris, who's now a coworker, and Mike Vigiano, who's a coworker as well. Kudos to those guys because they told me, like, look, man, if you do get on, this is the greatest job in the world. And I'm like, the greatest job in the world for me was making it to the league. You know what I mean? Like, you guys, there ain't no way this is the greatest job in the world. But nonetheless, there was a lot of, they try to catch you slipping, right, with the canvas letters. So as the canvas letters, these letters are coming, you have to say that I'm still interested in this job. And it happened much sooner than I expected. I take the test in 2015. I'm now being interviewed in 2016, right? But I didn't know. But they were, yo, man, I don't know where you are on the list, but, here's what's going on. They might be hiring soon. Make sure you got your canvas letter. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
What is that? Am I dumb for not knowing what that is?
A canvas letter is basically your interest. Interest letter.
Gotcha.
And they basically follow up with you, and they do this all throughout civil service.
To catch you.
They try to take this list of thousands, and a simple thing of not responding to a canvas letter by the deadline takes you off the list.
Yes, sir.
So they try to identify as many people as possible that are not interested anymore to condense the list.
Yeah.
Right, and then as it gets to that 3rd year mark, then they have a new test.
New test.
So they just keep filtering. Yeah.
No wonder I never made it.
I never responded to the canvas letter.
These letters, like, you want to be president.
Yeah, dude. So it was like, but I never, the first canvas letter, the word discouraged or like a big hell no was the salary. It doesn't show you, you don't ask some dude at work like, yo, man, what? I didn't think there were levels. I thought you went in there and boom, you're getting paid big money, I guess, wherever it was. But I was told, like, look, man, firemen, firefighters make good money. I'm like, but that wasn't my drive. Yeah. Like, that wasn't my reason for doing it. I embedded in my head, like, this is what I'm going to go do now. Yeah. Like, legit, It's gonna happen. We would be out meeting people, like not meeting, hey man, who are you? Like, what do you do for a living? But people would be like, oh, what are you doing? Dave would, at the time he was just working with the county and all that stuff. And then, once he got on here, he remembered this. But I was always, he doesn't know this part. Oh. I would tell people I'm a firefighter because I never wanted to tell people that I worked where I worked within like IT. I didn't want to tell people that because everybody wants to get into, well, what do you do in IT? Right. If I start telling you, like, that's going to lead, I really don't want to talk to you. No disrespect, but I don't want to get into that part of like, I'm a firefighter. You know what they do.
Self-explanatory.
You know what they do. We don't need to have a further conversation. He was like, yo, you always telling somebody you're a firefighter.
I would have a follow-up question though with firefighter. No, that's what, if you said that.
What do you do? You fight fires.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
No, but I'd have follow-up questions. I'd be like, have you broken doors down? Like, I'm very curious.
But it's funny. And so that part I kind of know, not getting into details of it, but he really started to, from what I see, manifest it like, and it was obviously backed by action because we always talk about it. You can say like, things are going to become a reality, but if you're not doing things to take those steps, it's not becoming a reality. He was saying it to people like, awesome. Yo, I'm a firefighter. I would look at him like, did you just say that you're a fireman? Right? Well, sometimes I was a pilot. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those. You know what I mean?
I was going to say,
like one of those. Then they're like, I thought pilots can't have beards. I'm like, I'm on vacation. No, like, that long of a beard? I don't know.
But mind you, it's funny you says that because I'm telling people I'm a firefighter, but my beard is out there. You know what I mean? So it was like,
your beard's going to catch on fire.
Very funny.
I'd be a good firefighter. Can't grow up a
Mike. I didn't know that you couldn't have a beard.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, hostage the hair. Beard became
perfect. Fireman.
It worked.
Some would say
it
does work.
Like my head looks good. Bald.
Aerodynamic.
Yes, it does work
like,
for sure.
Yeah, so it was hard. Like, I was telling a lie, and somebody could have caught me on it. What if I met another firefighter and my beard was out there? Where are you a firefighter?
Right. Well,
but you weren't lying because you ended up being a firefighter.
Yeah, man.
And how wild is that though? Looking back on it. But
remember what you did with this?
What?
Remember we were at Pizza Place and you were like, we run a podcast. Never recorded an episode. Never even knew the name, nothing.
Wow.
Got a guy's card after we had dinner and the guy's like, whenever you want to record, come here. Yeah. And he was talking like it was already done. So
that's dope.
There's something to it.
Yeah, there's definitely something to it. But I think it's obviously the most important thing is back it by the action.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Organe.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code No Snooze 30. Again, that's No Snooze 30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Organe is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Organe. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
I'm a billionaire.
Have to know though.
Sure.
When you then got on, because I remember a conversation we had, he texted me, he's like, yo, bro, this is like a McDonald's paycheck. I don't know. No, seriously, right? He's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to, how anybody expects you to pay your bills and support your family being a fireman. Like most people, I guess they do it at 20, 25 years old. I don't know. He's like, I just left a full-blown career, 6-figure career, like, pension, all that. And now I'm making, what, $40,000 now to start? Right?
30,
is that 30
I will speak clearly into the mic.
You got that
the
radio
canvas
voice
letter
too.
came and it said you start off at $33,296.
See, that is incredible.
And I said, nah, maybe misprint. You're not thinking
like you
about.
Did you forget a zero?
I don't know. I don't know what a $30,000 check then. Right? Like what? Wait.
I don't live a 30,000. Honestly, like how can you sustain your life?
It's hard to move back.
Man,
right.
So everything came like,
and that's where I need to hear this. Go ahead.
It was hard. It was when I looked at it. I went to him, but before this, when I started seeing it, like on paper, you then try to figure how. I don't know taxes at $33,000. I don't. Do you know what I mean? I don't know the effect, and I'm like, with all due respect, there are 18-year-olds that are making more than me, straight out of high school. No disrespect, their first jobs. I worked at BJ's. I did worked at BJ's. That was my first job. So am I like, you're trying to figure out an hourly rate? How is this going to work? There's no overtime. But
Benefits?
Yeah, but he had great benefits through the state.
Amazing benefits,
You know what I'm saying?
man.
Like he had all that.
everything was in line. But
Give you a lot
the
of credit.
No,
I would have been like,
it's wild.
See,
And at
I was
36
earlier
years
on.
old.
Yeah.
I'm going through this, but I'm still, when it first came, I'm 35 at the time, and I'm looking at it, and then it started getting real. The interviews are coming. I'm not telling my family. I'm like legit going on interviews, like suit. I had to leave the suit in the car because if I went to the Power Authority with a suit on, they're like, where you going, boy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I didn't know a good time. I didn't know how serious to take it. I went for the first round. I didn't get on. It was 2016. I'm like, all right, well, maybe that wasn't my time. 2 coworkers that are with me now, great guys, it went in the year before me. No, I'm sorry, I'm lying. It was 2017. That's when everything started going. But I took the test in March. The results came back 2015. So 2 years before the canvas letters started coming. It's now late 2017. Oh no, so yeah, late 2017, and the canvas letters start coming again, and it's like, hey, you, are you still interested in the job? Like a phone call comes down. I'm like, what? Like, whoa. But I already, again, I'm like, now it's going to be real because there were the guys like, all right, those other 2 guys actually got on. So I went already and I'm like, not this, I thought I killed it. I thought I killed the interview. I thought I had the first time around, I thought I put myself in position, being from Peekskill, talking about what the city means to me, which it does, is like near and dear to my heart because I wouldn't be who I am without whatever Peekskill brings. Like anybody in Peekskill knows, they'll understand where I'm coming from. It's a place where you build a lot, right? It's not a big city where you can get lost in. You shouldn't get lost in Peekskill. It's not a White Plains. It's not a New Rochelle. It's not a Mount Vernon, right? It's what I think 4.3 square miles, something like that.
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy.
And it's wild, but it's a great place. It's like kind of one of those where everybody knows your name, cheers kind of things, right? Depending on what you do. So again, that my passion for it came home. A part of my drive, which at the time it gets me super emotional, right? Because my grandmother and what she did, like for the city, for the community, that became to be something that was so moving for me, and I had a why now. So I didn't want to lose that. And I'm like, I'm not gonna fail because of you, Gran. Well, I called her mom. I'm getting this now. Like I don't know what I did. I would love to find out what I did wrong the first time around, but it doesn't matter now. But I knew I had to go get this. And that was my calling. But the money part, I think that was superseded by my why, which was giving back to the community. Not thinking, you mentioned in your great intro, in regards to me with being the second African American ever hired in the department.
Which is wild before you go there.
that's pretty crazy.
Because Peekskill in
Who's
itself.
number 1?
Hakeem Odeyande.
Are we sure?
But-
because I'm
Absolutely.
It'd be great
He's
to be
my
the
coworker right now. He
I
hired
was
me.
gonna say it'd be great if you were the one.
I would
more
be
publicity.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm shocked if I were to hear that in another municipality or town or city. Knowing Peekskill, I mean, you would say, is Peekskill heavily populated by African Americans, Hispanics over, the Caucasians? I'm just confused as to how, when I think about it, I'm like, everybody I personally know from Peekskill, the majority of them, right? Not everybody, but the majority of my friends from Peekskill are African American.
Yeah.
So how is it that there hasn't been an African American firefighter or one of them in 200 years of the existence? That's
crazy,
an incredible thing. It blows my
Dude,
mind.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This wasn't the thing, man.
That's wild.
It just wasn't. It wasn't.
Maybe the opportunity was never even given. I don't know.
I read a book called Firefight. A friend of mine, a former coach, he mentored me slightly through the idea once I told him that what was going on, because he was coaching when I was with the Westchester Hawks before I became the PSA. He's currently a New Rochelle firefighter. I love saying people's names. Rashawn Krabby Young. he said, "Yo, Mark, you got to go get it. You
Great
gotta
names,
do it,
by the way.
Right?
Krabby.
Right?
Krabby.
Everybody knows him as Krabby. And Krab sent me this book. He said, I'm going to send you something. He sent the book. And I actually failed the test reading that book because I wasn't paying attention to what I should have. But I'll get back to that later
You
on.
reading the book during the test?
No. I didn't pay attention, but I was so caught up in this book and the history of what was when it comes to African Americans or minorities in general, just being in the fire service. It was crazy. Now it's based out of New York. The book it's true story. Like it's real people, right? But it brings you back to the days of, it was during segregation when blacks were first originally allowed in, and it was like they weren't accepted. You know, this guy, they would sleep, he put him in the boiler room, there was hazing and all that stuff that went on, and it was crazy because I'm like, damn, man, there's history when it comes to minorities within the fire service, and nothing against it. It was heavy Irish and Italian, which I got Irish and Italian, my best friends is Italian, right? So again, it's like my best childhood friend is Italian. So there's no racist bone in my body. It was just you never paid attention to it.
To the facts
that were there. It's just what it is. It was a heavy dominated by white Americans. It is just what it is. And just how they say, you know, sometimes they like, you know, the sanitation is the Italian guys. Like it was like a thing. Like you don't see many black garbage companies. You know, it's like it's just what it is.
I never even thought of this, but yeah.
But when you think about it, it's just certain areas in life that aren't pursued by the minorities. Whether you're accepted or not, it is what it is. But you see gradually, now you're like, you go to Mount Vernon, there's black firefighters everywhere. You know what I mean? So when you think about it, in the city that I grew up in my entire life until my mid-20s, you never paid attention to someone making a career out of this wasn't the same color as you. And it was like mind-boggling once I did it, and now that became a part of my why. I want to be visible to the youth. I want to be something where they can say, this is a route that I can take to go do this. And what better place to do it but in your hometown? Like this was my calling. I may not be the best firefighter known to man. Like I'm never going to be as good as a firefighter I was in basketball. It's not something that you just practice every day because it's an exhausting job.
Unless you're a pyro, right?
It's an exhausting job.
Start a fire, put it out. Start a fire, put it out.
But again, like, and you think about the work that it goes into this. I didn't know, Mike. I've never been challenged. I've been through basketball training camps, football training camps, because I played both in college. I don't know why I did it, but I went back and said, you know what? I'm going to play football too. Bugged out, just did it, whatever. But it was a great time. But nonetheless, I've been through both of those in the heat, like pure, like basketball's inside, right? And you gotta, it's not, you don't need to be, you know, what's the great runner, Prefontaine. You don't need to be him to be a basketball player, right? It's truly like a sprinter sport, right? And if you're in some sort of shape, you can get it done. Football, a little bit more of using a lot more body parts and stuff like that. You have the restraints of equipment in football, but by no means does it compare to what you go through right across the street, not across the street, but over this hill over here in Valhalla. And to my uneducated self, when it came to the fire service, I think I I was embarrassed. I said, yo, I didn't know you had to go to an academy. Like, yo, it's like, I thought once you got the job, you got the job. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. But again, it's crazy because I was training. I thought like, all right, you have to do an endurance test.
Yeah.
I trained for it the first time. I'm like, if I get on, I'm going to kill this thing. They caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I just started to, you know, start hanging out, you know, not working out as much. And January of 2018, I had to go and take the CPAT, it's called. I almost died.
That's the physical piece, right? That's the physical piece to it.
But again, you see it on TV.
Called me right after.
On YouTube. Yo, you see it on YouTube. And I'm like, what, man? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I can do this without actually being in shape. I'm good. But you think in your mind, you know it takes days to actually get in some type of shape. The first time around, I'm like, I would have murdered the test. I would have probably set a record. Like, I was that prepared. I was legit in the gym on the Stairmaster with a 75-pound weight, straight bar on my back, walking. And I'm walking on the Stairmaster for 10, 15. Now I'm up to 20 minutes. I'm like, breeze. There's no running. I'm good. So you got the vest on. I hydrated. I stretched. I'm dead last. So I'm watching people, right? I'm watching people. And we're across the it's not a gym, but they do it in a big garage right over there in the county. And I'm watching people. And, dude, you're seeing people kill it. And then you're seeing guys that get up there and took it for granted, and they didn't get off the stairs.
Yeah, you see,
dude, they didn't get up. They didn't make it off the stairs.
What is it? An obstacle course thing?
It's an obstacle course.
Yeah,
but
is it a Stairmaster?
Now it's fire stuff.
Got it.
It's legit.
You should bring Mike and I through it. Just
right?
I'll die.
But the dude,
I did that with a Tough Mudder once. I just rolled in. We drank the night before. And 13 miles in a mountain. I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. I finished though. Yep. Took me like 3 hours.
That's what it's all. Hey, that's the thing.
I was dying.
So I'm nervous, but now I'm last. So all eyes are on me, man.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, it's either because the guys once you were done, you leave. So I'm like, damn, I watched the guy before me. He actually ended up being my classmate. I was 3 guys before me. I remember and I told him.
Well, everyone was before you. You were last.
Yes. But I was just watching, but you remember that I told him, I'm like, this dude, Mike Thiel, my dude, man. He goes through it, and he's a bigger dude. Like, he's not, you look at him, he's not in shape. But he little Gordo down bottom, and I'm like, all right. I used him mentally to say, if he gets through this ain't no way I'm not getting through this shit. This dude, again, my other guy, Aubrey, he's over in the town of Marinick. He's a firefighter over there. He went through it. He's a bigger dude, short, little, right? Aubrey knows my guy, but he's out of shape, right?
You're killing people right
He's
now.
going through it.
The roast.
So now they like, Carter, I'm stretching. Getting everything ready. I got on that Stairmaster. My mouth got dry. My legs felt like I didn't know if I had legs anymore. And it's not your normal rate of stairs. And you got 75 pounds of weight vest on you. So it's undistributed weight throughout your body that you're not used to. I don't got like ankle weights on and the vest. It's the vest, and I'm like not used to this, but it wasn't a simulation of the bar because I didn't do the bar in almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
I slacked off. And I'm going, and I'm like, oh, shit, this is not going to work. And you're allowed to touch. You got to do it for, it's a total of 3 minutes and 10 seconds because there's a 20-something, there's like a warm-up, and they're not counting. I'm like, this is easy, but you're literally walking the steps like a senior citizen. Like, I don't know what the level it's on, but it's too slow.
Yeah.
Right, but it
makes it harder.
And I got size 13s, man.
You're going on size.
Yeah, you don't want to kick it. You can't touch the rails. So you can either they tell you can cross your arms, you can grab onto the vest, but then you're thinking about balance. So that whole part of it is like, this is awkward. No, who walks the steps like this? And you don't want to look like a marching soldier. Like you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I would march soldier it.
Dude, you get done. And now you step off, and I'm like, now it's a time limit, right? You literally, now when you get off, you have 2 minutes and 50 seconds to finish the entire course. And my legs, I didn't know where they were. My body was moving, but my legs, I don't know where they were. So you can't run, but you can do this one kind of like a sprint, like a fast, a walk sprint.
I wish we had the footage.
Yeah, dude, you can do a walk sprint like to the next piece, and you're pulling hose. I've never pulled a hose before, man. So again, I've never done anything. I've never raised a ladder before. I've never swung an axe before. This is all of this, and then you got to go into this dark U-shaped obstacle course where you're blacked out. You can't see. I'm 6'2" again. There's all types of, it makes you get down. You got to climb over. I bang my knee. So it's the last part of it where you're pulling what they would call, you're pulling ceiling. Like it's a part of it, or you're pulling and poking, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have to unhook And now you're pushing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gotcha.
Again, I've never done this shit before, so it's driving me crazy. But I'm like,
you never had a loud neighbor?
That's it. But you got to go into you're going into a slot, right?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
gotcha.
Like,
So it's precision
It's an actual,
too.
yes. There's an
it's a
actual,
skill.
there's an actual machine for it, and I have what we would call a 6-foot hook. I have it in my hand, and I'm like, this is not something that I'm used to. Please don't mess up. The time is in my head, and the dude said, "This is where I almost lost. There's dead weight, 150-pound dummy." Dead.
Casually throwing that in
dead,
there.
right? You got to do that, and you got to drag the dummy. I think it's 50 yards and back.
Dave's done that to me before.
So you thought about those times when you've been drunk before?
Yes.
And it's like, yo, you think about dead weight? I'm like, this is
It's impossible.
Dude,
Especially
like-
150s. Like,
but they
that's a
tell
lot.
you can lift them, but I'm not in that type of shape to be lifting no 150 pounds. But I'm taller, so he was like, the dude was telling me, he's like, yo, it might be easier for you because you're already there. So when you stand the mannequin up, like you can just carry him. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is end up on the ground. This mannequin on me.
Hugging you.
Mark, just do it. So I'm like, I seen one dude do it with one arm, like legit, like he just muscled it. But the resistance on the ground, 150 pounds, you like. So the last part, the dude said to me, you might want to hurry up. So now I'm like, but again, I made it. I never asked my time.
You didn't want to know.
I called him and my father at the time, and I said, what the did I just do? I sat there, and they're cleaning up the whole place, and I'm looking around like, I hope they don't ask me to leave because I can't yet.
Move.
Like, I can't yet. We've all respectfully been bad drunk. I've seen you. I've seen you. And whatever that, whatever that is, like whatever that feeling was,
Yeah.
you know, the next morning when you wake up, that recovery.
Yeah, you're like, I'm never doing it again.
Yeah, it feels like
And
you
then
ran
you
an
do it again.
obstacle
Remember
course.
Ben was explaining to us like that feeling from
Yes.
COVID, like him,
Yes.
and I'm not gonna put his business, but like he was like, yo, I went through, this is the feeling, and I'm like, I felt like somebody just, I'm dead. I'm dead. But it was they make sure like you're hydrated and stuff.
They actually check your heart to make sure you're still breathing.
But you know the crazy thing is, if I would have prepared myself, it would have been easy because after going through the academy for 3.5 months, you then have to do the test again.
And you've done the skills.
Bro.
And now
it's not even, screw the skills. I'm in shape.
So it was more of a shape
I'm in
thing.
shape. My heart never beat that fast in a long time. So
Yep.
it was dope, man. But yeah.
Wow.
It got me all excited to wear like a weight vest.
That was an incredible walkthrough.
I'm
Of,
gonna start poking ceilings.
I don't know if people. I don't know if people are gonna be scared to now become a fireman because of
No, that's good.
the
Like
level of training.
I always thought like, oh, they have some type of obstacle course or something, but to hear the stuff, it makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like things that
Yeah.
skills and type of. There's different types of shape,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
like a different type of.
and it makes
type.
sense because like,
like
you have to
farm
do
shape, you
things
know?
like that to prepare yourself for when you're in a fire.
That's
So
it.
it's like all mock simulation that they do. I remember there was one story he said, and we'll keep it quick, but he was like, Dave, they made me go through a 12 by 12 box.
Oh yeah, I'd
Like
get in the
he's
middle
like,
and be
I'm a big dude. My shoulders, the width of my shoulders are bigger than 12 inches.
Like,
Oh, 12 inches.
Yes. How am I supposed to get through that with equipment on my back?
You're a house guy. You had to go
house
through.
guy.
You,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
how to,
That's
right?
my
You
slogan,
do the
I'm a house
mortgages.
guy.
I'm a house guy.
Mike the house guy. But, so what is they 12-inch studs?
Yeah.
We got to go,
Oh,
dude. You
yeah.
gotta bust the sheetrock down,
space.
right? But again, that was it was more or less. It's called masked confidence. So the first time you do this, you can see. The second time, you're blacked out and you're on air,
Get it? Masked confidence.
Pick
right?
up.
Masked
Yeah,
confidence.
masked.
So
Wow.
now
It's like covered.
you're when you put your mask on, they put like the tissue paper in there.
Doodle paper.
So the good thing is like, all right, man, it was like when we first did it, it was cold out, so you're not sweating. And you just wanted to see so bad. Like you just want to see. And I'm like, I said, you know what? The third day, first of all, the first day of PT, I said, they're bugging. I got to raise my hand. The academy humbles you. I'm 37 years old at the time, going through this, and I got to ask another man, may I use the bathroom? You shit me?
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Sir. You know what I mean? Carter, yes. Can I use the bathroom? And then
Your name's perfect for like a movie too. Carter. Come here.
so many people say that too, man. Like your name, Mark Carter. You sound like you should have been like in office. I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
politics is not my thing.
Hey, you
But
never
I got to take
Never know.
Dave there, right? I have to take Dave respectfully to the bathroom with me because we have a rule in the fire service: 2 in, 2 out. right? I can't go in a house. You don't go rogue. God forbid something ever went wrong. You have somebody with you. Yeah. So it was a humbling experience, not knowing about the academy, but it's paramilitary. Like, dude, we walk in, you know, if Claudio walked in and he has what they call bars, Claudio walks in here, you got to salute. You know what I mean?
You got to get Claudio some bars.
Yo, they was legit. Officer on deck, and at ease. I'm like, what?
I heard Dave does that in his office.
He does it all the time. But again, man, it was definitely something where the process was humbling. I think I needed that going in because you have a better respect for the job. And there's no amount of time that could ever prepare you. That's why they tell you in the academy, stay in your training and revert back to your training. And how would you do that if I took the time back in 2018 and said, you know what, I haven't taken a class in 15 years. So we still go, we train at work, whether it's visual or doing stuff hands-on. You have the opportunity to go to the county to train. So it's dope, man. It forces you to stay in shape.
Do you think if you knew of all this stuff you had to do, you still would have made the decision?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good.
You know, I asked this because if I knew how hard real estate was, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Seriously. Sometimes the naivety is.
I got to give kudos, and I promise, you know, when I thought about it, right, I'm not a, I don't, nobody knows this, but I cried at the time, and my two oldest, kudos to them, man, great kids, stinking twin.
Great names.
I accepted the job. They didn't know it. No. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was like on the eve. I had reached out to them because when I first told them, like, it was a potential of it happening, they were no. And who does something, right? If your kids tell you don't do it, nah, we don't. I always
were they scared? Is that why they said no?
Scared to death. Like
because
they don't know.
Yeah, you don't think about that.
They don't
right.
think about what is this job? What are you doing? What is it? You know what I mean? Like, what does it entail? So like that part of it was like I didn't even know, which is a gosh damn shame. Yeah, I'm gonna go be a firefighter, but if they ask me what does it entail, or Dad, you got to go train to learn this job, or I thought you go and train right in Peekskill. And when you're ready, yeah, you're good. Like, I didn't know that.
Fire alarm goes off, you show up.
Right.
Every day, Monday through Friday, I'm at Valhalla, at the Fire Training Center. Great people over there training. But
called Fire Fit.
Yeah. So I had prayed, like legit prayed to my grandmother, asking me, because like that $33,000 thing. I said, tell me, show me, give me something. You know, like she's always given signs, and I didn't think that I would have made it that far without the opportunity of the sign. And my grandmother's the only person that can really get me like emotional. But when that day when I spoke to my kids and they said no, I said I got to make this decision without them, which sounds crazy. You know, my dad had knew about it at the time. You know, I told my family, like, this is what I'm gonna go do now. And I remember my kids had this is the part that fucks up. I think that they called me and they said, Dad,
you're good, brother. Take a minute.
They said, Grandma Pearl said it's all right. Like, you're gonna be okay. And you know, they signed off on me being a firefighter, man. And I never felt so good about a decision in my life. And God damn, I hate telling that part.
Nah, man, that's beautiful. Yo, that's a beautiful thing, man.
Wild.
You know, they were so excited, man. And
that's a beautiful thing.
And I never asked them, right? So it was like they never met my grandmother.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's
never. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know. Honestly, I'm looking at you.
I gotta pray to her and be like, "Hey,
man.
Grandma Pearl,
You almost gonna make me cry, bro. Come on, man.
They never met her, man, and they said that, and I was like, so there were days when I would want to quit, and it was like reverting back to my why, and the kids, and the pay cut, and the gamble I was making in life. But I remembered when I wanted to stop running, when we would do PT at 7 o'clock in the morning on an empty stomach in a ice cup of ice cold. That's the only time I drank coffee. I was every morning ritual. You know, it was coffee, bathroom to let it out, then go run. So now you're totally empty, right? Yeah. So those were those times when I wanted to quit, man. The kids, they were in school. I was responsible for helping them get to school. Their mom was super supportive. My current amazing girlfriend Naima now, thank God for her when it came to the academic portion. I failed the test, and you're not allowed to fail more than 3. But I took the first test, Firefighter 1. I'm like, oh, this is a breeze. I got a 95. Now I'm feeling myself. I said, man, these fire dudes, they talk all of it. How bad could it get? Firefighter 2 comes out. Now it's Firefighter 1 is exterior operations, right? So it's the basic stuff, right? Like just stuff that you should know without even, you guys, no disrespect, with knowing common knowledge, it's like one of those common knowledge tests. Now it gets into interior stuff, and I was reading that book, Firefight, and I wasn't paying attention to my studies. I can tell you, go home and study. Like, you go through a full day, you get classroom, you do the hands-on stuff outside. But when I failed that test, now my pride, I'm like, yo, I'm embarrassed myself. But they tell you first day, if you fail 3, we contact your department. I'm like, yo, man, there's people back home that know me. Like, people now know I'm doing this. There are coworkers that I have that I went to high school with, some I've known my whole life. What am I gonna tell these guys? I was scared to fail 1. I'm like, they're gonna find out. Mind you, I got my partner at the time. Well, we graduated together. Mike Sniffen. He's 24 at the time. I'm 37. Like, we don't jive. And he's actually my 24 partner, which how we split schedules and all that stuff. But nonetheless, he is in there. You know, my dude, man, great kid, has a great future ahead of him. Really bullheaded. Reminds me of myself when I was young, you know, but real bullheaded. Doesn't talk much, but he loves firefighting. And that's what I realized. A lot of those guys in there loved firefighting, but they also had that volunteer side of them. So there were a lot of parts of me where I was so lost, but these guys were so much better than me. And that shit drove me nuts because I prided myself. I was always so good in basketball. I was always so good in sports. I was good in baseball. Like, so the idea of me not being better than them bothered the hell out of me. And I had to humble myself to say, it's okay. This is not your wheelhouse. This is not something that these guys have been in there volunteering since they've been whatever age. They've been around the fire service. You know what I mean? They have what they call legacies. Their dad, uncle, whoever is a part of this. So that then played a major role in a lot of stuff. So I had to swallow my pride. Nai used to help me many a nights studying, and I would get mad at her because she would try to tell me, you know, don't study this way, and I would say, don't tell me how to study. You know what I mean? But again, her method, I will say this, Shay, your method worked. Thank you. But it was
got
like
it recorded.
Yeah, right. Your method worked. My kids would help with vocabulary. There were days where I would come home and just be dead, man. And the support that I got from everybody, from the kid's mom to Naima, my parents, it was above and beyond. And a lot of people throughout the process didn't know I switched careers because I was still a 9-to-5 guy, right? That was just 9 to 5 at the academy, and I didn't go out. I was working at my dad's restaurant on weekends to bring in some extra cash. My first year, I worked at my dad's restaurant for about a little over a year, just trying to bring in some extra cash because of to then, you know, supplement what I wasn't getting early on. So it was just a great. This will be something that I would never, ever, ever, ever forget. I wouldn't have appreciated at 20, wouldn't have appreciated at 25, not even at 30. But being a father at that point in time, that was the separation as to where and why that became more of an understanding. I get now why they hired an older male. I get it, because again, yes, you may be qualified, but the maturity level can be what separates you. There was a guy in my academy, my guy, Piggies. It's last name.
Like, what?
Yeah, Robert. And it's a funny thing. He's 42, man. 42 years. So
That's
again, it was like your motivation becomes to be what. He's got 5 years on you. So how dare you? You know what I mean? There was a lot of times where I said, we used to call it the in the back of the line. That was where we jogged. I'm like, I'm not keeping up with. We kept up. We had to keep up. Like, you seen military when they go run. Together. Yes, you got to keep up. But they were respectful of pace, because I'm not a long distance runner. Now I am. I go out. I run just Mona. Like, you go and you run 6 miles, 5 miles, Mike, and we challenge you guys to see, like, but I'll go when I'm at work, I'll go run 4, I'll go run 3, and then I'm doing the elliptical. I'm doing 45 minutes of cardio because my life now depends on it.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't. Nobody's saying go out and be Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, but when you're breathing through that mask and your oxygen is limited, you have 4,500 PSI, which is nothing when you're breathing heavy. And it's also, your breathing is restricted. You learn, I began, like, nobody knows this. I'm taking this is an exclusive. I now meditate because it's so important to manage and control your breathing, dude. It's crazy, man, because I've had a panic attack within mass confidence going through. I had a panic attack and I didn't know it. And it's the scariest shit. When you can't get out of something, Mike, you're in something legit, like, not the ceiling, but they simulate being in the attic. Like, you know what I mean? So
That would do well.
So when you can't get up, so you got a pack on your back, you can't get up, you got your equipment. I mean, you have your turnout gear on, which is your bunker pants and your jacket, and you have a hood over your head. It's hot as hell in mass confidence. It's late in the summer. We did the one in Stanford. Brutal. But again, you're sweating profusely.
Yeah.
Everything is going on inside of you, right? When you're breathing, whatever that air is, it's oxygen, not whatever the air is, but like, it's hot. So if you're out in a cold environment, it's cold, right? So you're getting that. So it's balls hot and you're breathing hot air. That's so we New York guys, like, those humid days, you ever been on a run in a humid day?
Yeah.
In a sense, right? So a hot day, put something over your face. COVID.
Now's a good time.
COVID, right? COVID. Like, people are complaining about having these surgical masks on, N95s. This thing is glued to my face, right? Because it's suction to your face. Hence why we can't have a beard, which I didn't know. Again, but again, that's and that might have been the immature me. That would have been a deal breaker.
Really?
What? Man, listen, man. The beard was like, that was the thing. So
I can't remember you with the beard anymore.
Damn, that's
Sorry
good.
to go on.
I know, no, it is true.
Good.
And I'm used to it now too. But when he first shaved, I'm like, oh my God, it's like a different person, because you feel like you lose your chin.
Yeah.
You know, so I get it. But obviously, for functionality reasons, you just can't. And honestly, would you rather a beard or you rather your life?
My life,
you know what I mean?
My
like,
life. So
That's why I don't have a beard, you know, just in case I get called up.
Yeah. So you just gotta, like, the training aspect of it, the motivation from the messages we send every morning. Well, Dave sends it Monday through Friday. Richie, I may hop in every once in a while on the weekends.
Yeah, Mike does a similar thing for us. He gives us a
very, very brief quote.
Yeah, he gives us a brief quote.
Whereas a little tip.
Whereas I'm a little more elaborate. You know, I get into like typed messages. You know,
Speaking of elaborate,
yep.
Let's briefly go back, because I don't know if I told you this in person. I didn't get to tell you, right? But
hold my hand.
you're as my best buddy, right? Mike, you had every right to be on his ass about, like, the 10-page Dave. Like, this is going back to, like, what it's like Epi 1, 2, like
this is early.
And so I'm thinking about. I was reading a book the other day, and I'm like, this dude is nuts. Like, So I tried to say to myself, what would it feel like reading 10 pages? Dude, that's like watching a Martin episode and cutting it off right when Bruh Man is coming from the 5th floor. Like, you don't know who Bruh Man is. Like, so you can just stop in the middle of saying something like, oh, and now you don't know what happens to Billy.
Yep.
Right? So
Yep.
it's like, but I guess whatever works. You know what I mean?
His super strength, which I'm trying to absorb, is his processes are bulletproof.
Yeah.
So that the days where you don't want to do it,
Right.
you do it because you're not hanging on that punchline that comes.
Right.
Like if you happen to read something and it's not that interesting, you'll put it down. If you know you just have to do 10 pages, it doesn't matter what it is, you're doing the 10, you do it. Whereas my method, if I'm not into it, I just put it down. So you get more stuff done.
Mike,
but that
1,000%.
you don't really know that until you start applying stuff.
Right.
And there's different ways to do things, but it's bulletproof the way he does stuff.
I couldn't eat. As we know, Dave has a unique way of doing so much. Like so much.
You guys
Like,
are making me feel uncomfortable.
No, but
You should feel uncomfortable.
It's like unique
'cause this
ways.
is never happening
yes.
again.
Like, but you guys expose yourselves in such a manner on this show. You fucking make me cry, which excuse my French, but just like you guys do a fantastic job. But no, I was just seeing or understanding. You know, I didn't know the vision, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And it's like when you first watch a movie. I told Dave the other day. It's like when you first watch a movie, and I think a lot of people do watch this, and it's just that pride. Like you probably got followers on Instagram. I don't have social media. You probably got followers on Instagram, whatever else you got, that just watch.
Yeah.
And won't like it.
Yep.
This is gonna be that same space.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Very nice for you to say.
Yes,
and
thank
we
you.
and you'll like my mantra at the end because it ties it all together. But it's okay not to know what the next thing's gonna bring. But if in your head you're like it's gonna benefit regardless of what it becomes, and if
Right.
we're authentic to what we're doing and just we enjoy it,
Yeah.
you can't lose.
Yeah.
It's just like with the fireman stuff. You knew big picture it was going to make sense.
Yeah.
You didn't know the next step. You just take the first one.
Stupid me, man.
And honestly,
it's-
you make a good point. But we talk about it all the time. We're like, imagine if the people, just the best friends and our best family members in our life, were to just go and tap the 5-star and leave us a review, right? We would be at hundreds of ratings. But it almost feels better, and honestly, we would appreciate it if they did do it, sure. But it's got to be genuine. You know what I
done.
mean?
Well done.
No, but it's got to be genuine. But like we're at looking that when we first hit our 10,000 downloads on the platforms, and now we're almost at 5. I mean, by the time this comes out, we'll be well over 5,000 people following us on social media. It grows and grows and grows, whereas we don't do it for those reviews.
Yeah.
The fact that we have over 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts is extreme. And yeah, we know a handful of them, but the majority of the people who are leaving this, we don't know. But to family and friends' point, they do get the benefit of, when this does become a top 10 podcast and everybody gets to, reap the benefits of stories like this. They were there still from the beginning. You know what I mean? So for us, when you have that vision, and like Mike was saying, I'll never stop doing this.
Right.
I'll never stop. So there's no way that I can fail unless I were to physically pull the plug and be like, you know what? I'm going to tap out.
Yes, sir.
The consistency and something as stupid as just reading 10 pages a day, I do different things like that in my life to make sure that when I see a goal, that's how I can get it. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But it's definitely an interesting thing. Being mindful of people's time, because I know we're going
What else
on.
do you have to do today, right? Just
Right?
in case, keep listening.
Well, and it's true,
I'm
and
joking,
this
I'm
is so good.
Yeah.
But I do need to, because that's a nice lead into the power of relationships and association, right? Because growing for you, from going early on in the episode all the way till now, you had really good relationships, people in your corner. You sought out help to make sure that people were in your corner. What is, I guess, the value that you can bring to others up and coming and something that they're looking for in terms of who you keep around you?
Without a doubt, I'm not a big on the judging a book by its cover, like not in the least.
I'm huge on that.
But I think, but you are and do become a product of your environment, right? And it's not the environment when you're speaking of outdoors. If you hang around bad people, you're going to become a bad person. You surround yourself with like-minded individuals, go-getters, right? People who not even a level of motivation. I don't like the idea of, yeah, I'm motivated to go do this. And then what are you going to do when you're not motivated? It has to come from within. You have to want that drive, right? Because if Dave wanted this show more than you wanted it, there needs to be another co-host, right? It's like in sport. If I begin, or a parent, my kid is doing something, she's playing the violin. One of my daughters plays the violin. If I want this more than you, we're doing something wrong. So my idea and what is important to me, I've always been blessed to be around good people. I didn't choose them. I don't think they chose me. Circumstances put me in position to be around them, and then we built from there, right? And I would say you can't seek these people. You can't make yourself be something that you're not, but understanding that being a product of your environment goes a long way with the type of person that you can mold yourself into being, because you have absolute control over your destiny. Like there's nothing like it sounds so corny and cliche. Yeah, you can do anything in the world you want. Yeah, you can. Like you legit can do anything in the world that you want. But if you're not around those like-minded individuals, it's very easy to become discouraged, right? It's very easy to have setbacks along that road. And I would say from my basketball family, my PSA guys, we're constantly motivating each other to move forward, to my friends that I speak to every single day. You begin to understand and realize the importance of healthy relationships. There are things that I can turn to my group and say, fellas, this is it, and not feel a level of embarrassment. I can go to them with an achievement and not expect to receive kudos, but for them to understand you were supposed to do this, right? It's that push in the right area where, yo, you don't even know when your friends are actually watching. And that's the dopest part about a dope relationship with the good people. These are not guys, yes, we've partied before. Majority of us are now parents now, right? The partying, yes, and we still will party. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not going to stop. Like, not to say it's not going to stop, but we'll do it. It's now curtailed in the sense where we go and say, let's go kick it in the crib, right? Let's go sit down and watch football. Let's go, let's go to a game, right? Yankee game, which things that we've done before, but it's not after the Yankee game. We're going to the bar.
It's not getting too much details. We're gonna get in trouble. But have you heard the saying, stay around the fire to stay on theme?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Look at
Could
that.
be the title.
Is that a quote or a mantra? 'Cause I'm a mantra.
I have no idea. I throw out quotes, mantras, have no idea where they come from. I just throw them out.
So you just pulled. That sounds like
Doesn't
something
matter
that you
who
would have
said
learned
it,
in Boy Scouts, bro. I'm
but
not
doesn't
gonna lie
matter
to
who
you.
said it.
Stay around the fire.
Stay around the fire.
So you kind of alluded to it.
Yep.
Question that I love to ask for personal reasons, because I like to hear everybody's side of it. On days when you, on brand, want to snooze, but know you have no choice, and your level of motivation is not what it was on a day where you know what, yeah, it's easy to get up because I'm motivated. When you're not feeling motivated to do something, and other people are still obviously relying on you in life, how do you continue to do it every single day?
Without question, continuing to be, I would say, to have the drive, because I think like motivation, there's an easy word. Like there's no negative word to drive. Either you have it or you don't, right? You're not motivated or not motivated. Like that, no, I have the drive to go do this. And the easiest part for me is understanding that I have people that rely on me. I am now that person. That's my drive. So when I don't want to do it, whether it's the littlest thing, you may not want to work out today, but I'm not working out for me. Yes, it helps you look your physique and all of that stuff, and you feel a little bit now more sexy at the beach.
I knew he was going there. He was getting
But you definitely there are people that rely on me. My job, my whether it be my coworkers, my brothers, whether it be my friends, because they're relying on me to be here to experience great times. My kids, they're 1,000% relying on me to support them, whether it be a monetary support, emotional support, whatever it may be. I gotta be here for that, right? So my thing comes back to simply staying in shape and being conditioned to do a job, to be able to being able to be a provider. And the easiest thing for me when it came to actually having the drive to get things done has been once I became a parent. And that changed. We're all parents here, and I'm sure you guys, I've been parents a little bit longer than you guys, so you appreciate the newborn stage. That next level, it's unparalleled. Like, there's nothing you're going to experience, girls or boys. We're all girl dads here.
Yes, that's right.
But that becomes to be the drive. Every day, I remind myself, they're here. And I told you briefly, one of my greatest friends in the world was just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Like, legit, like, just out of nowhere. This is one of my former teammates on the football field in college. And when you think about that, if you woke up or if somebody told you you're going to wake up tomorrow, you might be feeling a little bit ill on the inside, and you're going to go get diagnosed at the doctor, and they're going to tell you you have stage 4 cancer. If that right there doesn't drive you to experience every ounce of life that you can every single day, that was probably one of my more humbling experiences I've ever had. And he's kept it so real. I just want to let Duran know I love you to death, man. And I tell him all the time, and I always put it in quotes, you will win. And he just gave me some great news the other day, saying that his last checkup, he's actually visiting his in-laws now up in Vermont, and he said to me, yo, I got some great news. And Duran has always been like just so random, like, and that's my guy. But when we were in college, he was so unprepared all the time. Like, he was just one of those dudes, man. But he's so great. He said, I got some great news. We were just talking. I was, checking on you, boy. He said, I got some great news. The doctor told me my cancer's shrinking. And that shit damn brought me to my knees, man. Because it was like, and I told Nye, and she was like, and we both thought the same thing, said it almost at the same time. God is the greatest. That's what I texted him. And it's so crazy that she said the same thing, because we've all been praying for him. He's pushing through, like all of our friends. And you talked about relationships and stuff like that. That's that support, because I think that that's helping him. Father of 3.
Wow.
A husband, you know what I mean? And then boom.
Yeah.
Right? So he's going to win this race, man. So
Yes, he is.
Definitely.
Wow, that was good stuff.
Yeah.
Man. So this will bring us. Listen, this whole episode I feel like was like mantras and dimes and all that. But this will bring us into Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes.
Yeah, sorry, Mark. This is our corny.
This
This is our little.
You know what's
corny
crazy? You
piece.
just actually made me think of like dimes. I was thinking of basketball. Like,
Well,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
but that's
Assist.
so that's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, because a dime is something that sets somebody else up. So my hope in Dave's dime is to give you a little boost to set you up. Feel me?
like he planned
anytime
it,
he
this
says
kid. He's
Dave's
good.
dimes, like, you have to always follow through with the ad lib of the dimes.
Yeah. I feel
Yes.
like I'm just like a
And he always
backup
asks. He always
dancer
asks for a
that
That's
time.
sexy.
I
But
mean, he asks for a soundboard all the time. I don't know if we're working on that.
efficiency. You know what we're talking about?
And this is a personal one that Mark and I had spoke about a couple days ago, maybe a week ago.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing, and it ties into the episode in terms of discipline. Your lack of discipline is offensive to those who believe in you.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. That gives me anxiety.
Right? Like,
Doesn't it make you feel
like,
some level
whoa.
of like, well, anytime you don't do something, like, damn, somebody actually.
It's a good one.
But that goes back to that drive. That's hard. And every time
Right.
he says it, when he said it, we were at the lake, and I was like, you know what I mean? You know, like, damn, dude, why you got to do that?
I say it every week, but Dave's delivery is so smooth that I'm like,
Yeah.
I should start going first. Because mine's usually like ad-libbed from
Yep.
what I remember. So,
Yep.
for example, Miguelito's mantra, Little Michael.
Ito.
Mine, I'm pulling from Steve Jobs.
Yep.
He gave a speech for graduation, and he basically said that when you're living your life, you have all these dots, and you don't know that they connect until you look backwards and trust the dots will connect.
Wow.
Hold on.
The speech is phenomenal.
Hold on.
It's a good speech.
Right? I think if
That
you
was
just
dope.
slow down.
You gotta say that one more time.
Yeah, because
I grabbed it.
But that me too.
I was
But
ad-libbing
that's
it
part of the
because I don't remember
delivery.
what he said.
Nah,
But if you slow
That's
it down,
dope, man.
it'll sit a little bit better, even for me to hear it.
Yo.
Can you repeat that again, please?
Let me get the real one.
Nah, because when you said it, that the flow was just so dope. Now you're gonna make it seem like you weren't paying attention to Steve Jobs, man.
Listen, I retain stuff. I retain stuff, but I don't hear the actual words. All right, Steve Jobs.
Right.
This is real time.
Dots connect
Quote. There you go.
I've used it before. It's very good. All right, ready?
Let's go.
I have the verbatim.
Let's go.
You can't connect the dots looking forward. You only can connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, your destiny, life, karma, whatever it takes.
Wow. I got chills, bro.
It's a great quote.
That was fire.
Thank you, Steven.
Wow.
Mr. Jobs.
Mark, hit us with something. What do you got?
What is it? Marky's message?
Ooh, I like that.
Message. You're supposed to
Message
come in
is
for me,
too
man.
like
It
doesn't. Message.
No,
Message.
this
Steal
is Marky's
Marky's
hit you
mantra.
with. Marky's yeah, man.
Sorry.
Marky's mantra.
This guy. mantra.
Dope. No, Dave said, he's like, yo, man, again, I'm a watcher of the show, so I'm prepared. But I didn't have to prepare because I always use this, and it's a lot of times with the basketball kids, and it's actually two. One I borrow from my good friend, Gary Bryant, longtime coach in the Mount Vernon area. His was always during practice, he would always say, listening is a sign of intelligence. He's like, you don't get it until you get older, right? Mm-hmm. Listening is a sign of intelligence. And you always hear like, do you hear me or are you listening? I'm like, my grandma used to always say that. I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but are you listening? Is letting it, you know what I mean? One thing I always say to I use that with my basketball kids, especially in practice. But I always tell them before we get on the road, it's the 4 Ps. And I try to get them, each group that I come across, to remember it. And I would just tell them 4 Ps, and they tell you. And it's proper preparation prevents poor performance. And when you simple.
Wait, 4?
That was like 7. Proper
preparation prevents poor. Poor performance.
Oh, yeah,
is
I got you.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
You can't. What is poor?
Pirelli.
Yeah.
So, but it's again, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I say it to my kid. My kids know. They know. They'll sit here and but it's again a part of it, right? When if Claudio, right, if he came in like Wade's Mike did, we would be in bad shape.
I come
Shots
in like
fired.
a hurricane, don't I?
did.
I always do.
With
Like
like
a
a
tornado.
tornado.
You make a good point, and we always talk about CV behind the scenes, but my man was here at 8:30.
Yeah, he's prepped.
You know what I mean? Like that's an hour and a half before the interview, and we started an hour late because of obviously all the conversations that go on.
No, it's Wade's.
Yeah,
fault.
Wade screwed me up again. I had a Wade's moment.
And your bacon, egg, and cheese that you devoured.
It was good. Castleview, shout out.
Yeah, that's crazy that you ate a bacon, egg, and cheese before this. Oh wait, I already told everybody I ate
you
it.
didn't have one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, that's dope, man. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that one too, and I'll probably butcher it. I'll
And-
be like,
and he'll say
poor
the 5.
people, platforms, and Pirelli.
No, you should just change the first one to Pirelli preparation. What is it?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Pirelli preparation prevents poor performance.
Yeah,
There
Pirelli.
you go.
It's not a household name yet.
We're gonna end on that. Until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it. And thank you, Marky Mark.
This was
Thanks for having me,
incredible,
man.
bro.
Thanks for having me.
And go subscribe. You watched. Do you subscribe? Are we rolling? That's another Epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.